Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Luxembourg, welcome to this great event. It's a great honor to be here, and also it's a great honor to be the first man stepping on this stage, because You mentioned, Mario, that we have more men in the audiences here. This is something which we were advocating in the course of the past year, so it's fantastic to see that this is actually happening. It's an honor, but it's also a big responsibility. I think that it's clear that a lot is also on the men. This is not an effort which has to be taken forward only by the women, by everybody, and we play an important role in this. And today we have to give you the perspective of the EIF. The EIF, this is a very important topic. I think you have heard it from our president, you have heard it from Mariut. Equality is an imperative for us. This is something which is enshrined in our values, in our principles, and as a matter of fact, also in our objectives. We do measure this as an important KPI. We report on it. Our results are assessed by reference to it at the end of the year. And I can tell you, in my job, we present about 200 investment opportunities a year to the board. They all go through Mariut and through Merete, our Deputy Chief Executive. And there's not one single one of them where the question is not asked about gender. And if I'm that unlucky to have one where we do not comply, the number of questions increases. So this is something which is really taken very seriously at the EIF. We have developed, together with the European Commission, a set of criteria to assess funds which should comply with them in order to be eligible. And I have to say that this is going rather well. The signs are encouraging in this respect. At least more than 50% of our funds do comply with this criteria. The number is increasing. But we have a very, very ambitious team, very enthusiastic team with a lot of energy. And this resulted, for those of you who were here at this event last year, in the launch of what we call the enhanced due diligence. So this is a process which goes beyond the KPIs which were set together with the Commission. It's a more thorough process, and it's not there only to assess whether a fund complies with them and therefore is as investable, but it's also a process to actually incentivize fund managers to go in the direction of equality. You will hear from Priscilla Schnepper, who's one of my colleagues. She's one of the main advocates of this, and she will explain to you what we actually do, what we plan to do, and what are the challenges and opportunities in this. This is a journey which, of course, we cannot do alone. I mean, women can't do alone, men can't do alone, but we have to be all together in this. And for these reasons, as you probably know, we partner with member states, other than the Commission I mentioned earlier, with member states, with national promotional institutions, and we have certain mandates which actually do look also at this angle in the investment opportunities which we pursue. We have one with the German Ministry of Economy and Environment, with the Dutch Ministry, and so on and so forth. And I actually, linked to this, I take the occasion to maybe invite to stage already Antje Hansen, who's representing the, I don't see, there she is, who's representing the German Ministry of Economy and Environment. Antje is a, please take a seat. Is an experienced manager at the ministry. She's responsible for startup and equity investments. A partner of ours, the ministry, for a long time. Actually, I think he's the oldest partners we have at the EIF, and so we'll be hearing from her and her perspective. We also need, of course, the LPs community, but the GP communities, which is largely represented here today. And for this, I'd like to invite to stage Lucille Bonnet, who is here. She's a founder and managing partner at Klima Energy Transition Fund, the fund we have invested in the 2 generations. The last one, we just completed our enhanced due diligence, so you will hear from her what this is also about and how she sees this. And last but not least, I already mentioned Priscilla. Here she is. She is, as I said, one of the main advocates of this, together with a large team of people. And without further ado, I'll pass the floor to you, Priscilla, because you'll give a few insights into the process, and then we'll move on to the panel. I'd like to say since the beginning, we'll reserve about 5 to 10 minutes, like in the previous panel, for questions from the audience and to hear your perspective. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marco. Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here. And before looking at the EIF data, I'd like to mention 3 data points. The World Bank did a study showing that if we fully integrated women into the workforce, it could have an impact on GDP of up to plus 20%. BCG did a study showing that while women struggle more to fundraise, they actually better use each euro that receive and generate better revenues. Study done by Prequin. Only 15% of women, or only 15% of senior positions in the alternatives industry are filled by women. What does this look at, or what does it mean for the EIF? Marco alluded to it. We have a gender KPI, which is very well monitored internally, and thank you for this. It looks at the percentage of women at senior positions, being in the management team, investment team, or investment committee. And important point here is the or. If we drill a bit more down into the data, we see EIF's universe, the GPs also presented here, and stakeholders, the community, show a percentage that is encouraging, better than the global Prequin of 15%. However, there is still more to do. This is why EIF takes the step of saying diversity is not just a figure. It is a mindset, a culture, a way of thinking and integrating. Also, as we heard it this morning in the panel, there is a way to go way beyond KPIs and make a real change. So, what have we done over the last year? At last year's Empowering Equity, we announced an enhanced due diligence to come up, which would have a qualitative and a qualitative element with the aim to assess, okay, what is actually the way diversity is lived at the level of each fund manager? Is this an environment where women can thrive, where there's a fair way of treating all employees? Are there equal opportunities? So this has been implemented over the course of the year. We have had due diligences where we have had the opportunity to really dig down to understand what drives, what are the policies in place, what is the remuneration. For example, we're able to challenge a gender pay gap in at a level of underlying fund managers. We're able to look how is the hiring process, what does the full team look like, is there talent that has the possibility to come up? So are there maybe community events? Is management engaged? So there are a number of factors that we were able to look at, make change, be the front runner, and really create a culture of investment and commitment. Then we cannot stay behind. In order to be a change maker, also at the level of the EIF, we need to be informed, know how to challenge, ask questions, and scratch beyond the surface. And this is why we had the opportunity to benefit from a great training internally to become what we would like to be gender champions. And finally, there are new or next steps, so we are on the journey. It is going further. The rollout of the gender strategy will be to all equity investments in the coming year. We aim to have an increased weight in the investment decision-making process. And in addition, as had also been requested in several occasions, to increase also transparency, to report on our results, and to then do analysis linked to the strategies, to the returns, and be able to also present these. Thank you. With this, hand over to Marco.
Thank you, Priscilla. So I'll start with a few questions, and if you agree, Antje, I'd like to start with you. As I said, you represent the German Ministry of Economy and Environment. You have been a partner with the EIF for a very long time. I think we have had a long, successful journey together, but in particular, I was wondering what actually motivated you to partner with us also on promoting more gender diverse investments, and what role do you think that a ministry could actually play in this particular field?
Is it on? Yeah. Thank you very much, and good morning to everyone. And thank you for all these experiences you shared with us. And this is for us very important to see what you, the EIF, the largest investor in Europe, can do, and what you do actually in setting standards and bringing the community together and building networks, and in making everyone sensible with questions like that. And this is for us also the main reason why we really want to cooperate with you, want to learn with you, and want to go along with you in targeting these ambitions. So this is why we want to follow on with the cooperation, and why we were the first ones, as far as I know, who were building up this gender initiative 2 years ago, 23, this GSIP initiative. And this is why we also built some initiatives like this also on the national base in Germany, in our country. So for us, it's very important to have you on our side and to follow you, and not only in the investments itself, but also in the political dimension. And we see another benefit that we can maybe be like a role model for other member states as well, and also for the private investors, as public investors, show what we can do, what can we do, and maybe to incentivize private investors as well.
Thank you. On our side, I think it is very important to partner with ministries like yours. As I said, we have others in the audience. We see that the push coming from all angles is what's needed. You have made reference to the private world. We could perhaps transition to Lucille, because you have a wealth of experience. I think you have been in this industry for over 15 years. You have had very different roles in different funds, different companies, and you have also gone through our due diligence lately. So I was wondering if you could share with us your perspective. How did you find it? Did you see value in it? Is there anything which you would have done differently before we undertook a due diligence? And I know the results, so I won't spoil that, but how do you see things also going forward? It's a lot of questions, but I'll leave it up to you which one to tackle first.
Sure, I take one by one. Good morning, everybody. So, as you mentioned, I grew up as an investor in Germany in 2 different funds. So started 2009 in a specialization in the energy sector. So we're not gender lens. We're having an environmental impact before anything. And that was kind of what I wanted to do since the beginning, venture capital in energy. And growing up in these 2 funds in Germany, it's clear, or it's fair to say, that it was very much male-dominated back then. I remember having large investment committees with only males, for example. And so, when we started Klima, it was clear that we wanted to take a different approach and have a different, have also include diversity from scratch into building up the team. At all levels, and especially at lower levels, with that in mind. So I think we had that embedded somehow since we started with Fund 1. We went through the enhanced due diligence for Fund 2 lately. But the result of that strategy for Fund 1 has been to, out of 10 people in the investment team, have 6 female, so 60% overall represented. And so while going through this journey and while doing that, or maybe why doing that, I said Klima, or co-founding Klima for me in 2021 was the result of 12 years of investment experience. And so for us, it's clear that also to build up the female partners and decision makers of tomorrow, you also have to hire and build up at a more junior level and help these people grow. And so that was kind of the starting point for us at Klima. So we're very happy today to have a team and a more junior team that we also see a lot of potential for them to become partners and decision makers in the future. So and we hope to just keep it like that. And when it comes to the due diligence, I think we had also the same thing in mind into the portfolio, right? So we're investing also into companies in the energy sector. And I think it's not a spoiler to say that the energy sector is not a very diverse one. And so, of course, beyond looking at, how many... So we're very, so generally in our work, it's fair to say there is a lot to do to foster diversity. And so what we did through the due diligence was to look at, which were at the 2X challenge, right? So we were not giving any commitment in the first fund to aligning to the 2X challenge, but we went through the data. We were anyway taking a look at female representation in the overall workforce and in the management/board within the portfolio. We were happy to see that whole portfolio is aligning. However, I need to say that these thresholds were quite strict about the thresholds are very low still. And so it's great to align, and we'll take that commitment for Fund 2, and we want of course to also have kind of an alignment of our portfolio with this challenge. But we're talking about 20% of female representation in the workforce for the energy industry as of today as a target, right? So we were well above that, with close to 35%, but it's still low, and there is still a lot of work to do. And so, I'm happy that you have today the Empowering Diversity Academia here, because technology companies need more female founders, also in our sector specifically. So I think it's real career option and career path. You have more and more option to get capital from early stage venture investors that really would support you doing that. So really consider as a career option. And the second career option is, of course, also venture capital for you, right? So if you have a passion, like I had for energy and the clean tech sector back then, go for it, I would say. And there should be funds. In order to become a decision maker, at some point you need to start somewhere as an analyst, and so that's also a very good career option for you to choose. Wow. So I guess and the due diligence was great. It was not a lot of work. It was insightful, and we were happy to give that commitment for next fund. But we'll keep on when reinforcing management teams. Definitely dedicate more time to female candidates, because that's really needed. We do get even more, even at our level, let's say at more junior levels, and for C-level candidates, more males candidature, but we take and dedicate more time to female CVs. Trying to, when reinforcing teams, if companies are not led by female founders, at least bringing female around into management team is something that we will continue doing.
Thank you, Lucille. You are mentioning the next fund, but just to be clear, this is the fund which you are launching now. So it's not something which you commit to do in 5 years' time, but it is something which you already see as relevant today.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, Fund 1 is still active, and we're still investing out of Fund 1. We're looking at a first closing in Q1 next year for Fund 2. And that's the one we're talking about.
Thank you. I would have a few follow-on questions, but I'm conscious of time, so let's perhaps move to Priscilla first. Priscilla, you have already given an outline of the DD. This was launched a year ago, approximately. It's something which you have used, the team has used throughout all our due diligences. How do you see it going, and what challenges or opportunities you see for the future, for the next 12 months and beyond?
Thank you. Yeah, first of all, we see opportunities. We leverage on the great engagement and data and assessment that we have been able to obtain this year. And when I say we, it's really the entire team of investment professionals that are looking into this. So with a dedicated group that is more focused on promoting a gender lens investing within the EIF, and want to go further on this road, and also assess where we have come so far, and then use this to take more initiatives, more measures, because let's say the enhanced due diligence is a means, but it's not the objective. The objective is a real change in the world, or let's say I'm being very ambitious. Let's start at the level of the GPs, then, as also mentioned by Lucille, she referred to the 2X criteria, the level of the underlying investments, at the level of LPs, so to really engage and have this snowball effect outside into the community. And another point, which is also important, and the Empowering Equity Academy is a great step to say, to address this point. We sometimes hear from fund managers, it depends also on the industry they are in, but they don't find enough female talent in the market. So really to grow also this talent pool and to raise more and more awareness.
Fantastic, thank you, sir. Maybe, if I may, I would ask a question or a couple of questions to the audience here. As we said, we would like to do this as interactive as possible. And I know that there is a number of GPs in the audience who went through what Priscilla has just described. And would you be so kind, some of you, to share your experience on it, a bit like Lucille did? How was it for you, and what's your takeaway from it? And ideally, I see that there's already a few hands up, which is great. Also, it would be interesting to hear the points of view of the LPs in the room. I think there's about 30 of them. We need more LPs to push in the same direction. I think we are the main LP in Europe, as we said, but we need more of you. So if possible, I'd like to hear also the view of some LPs in the room. There was a hand up there. Maybe if you can get the mic.
Thank you. I'm Simona. I didn't go through enhanced due diligence as of yet because we raised the second fund above the hard cap, but it was from EIF before you launched the program, so most likely at Funds 3 we'll go there. My name is Simona. I'm from Morphosis Capital. My question to you was a bit linked to the LP side. I also think gender is a value system, and also I believe in changing the world. But I know EIF and EIB is doing a lot in this respect, and I really hat off for everything and for this event and for everything you do, actually. However, institutional capital comes with matching funds from commercial investors. And I have to say, at least I come from a region where women is perceived as unconventional, and that being an asshole, it's okay. And if you don't have an asshole muscle in the team, which usually is male, and the women are weak and so on, it's a problem. So how can we make this advocacy reach the commercial investors as well? And how we can work together with Invest Europe, with Level 20, with other institutions that can propagate in the commercial investor different kind of LPs to understand the importance of the value system and the impact of the gender in the economy, actually. Thanks.
Maybe let's start with this. Thank you, Simona. Who have some ideas, but you are the main characters here on stage. So who of you would like to take this question?
So, I mean, when it comes to the commercial LP world, I think we basically have to show track record also, right? And it's very down to track record. I mean, it's not, I would say it's not down to being an asshole, right? But it's more down to track record. And so I think this is what needs to be brought in. The commercial LP world is also more and more about specialization. So I think it's fair to say that I think it's a good advice to build in expertise in the field of investment that you are active in, and then try to build up track record either basically with other funds, right? Working for them before setting up your own fund. In any case, it's quite of an experience game to become an investor, and I would say it's very much down to this, and then to keep the track record up as well over time. That would be my answer.
I would complement, so similar to the events today, it's a community effort, so it cannot be, as you rightly say, public investors alone. I mean, we're very grateful for the support from the German ministry, from other public investors that come along. However, and at the same time, this needs to be expanded into the market, and also here as a mindset. So it's not a question of charity; it's a question of improving investment decisions. It's a question of creating value. And this is also, as Lucille mentioned, an argument that reaches or should reach private LPs in the market.
Antje, would you like to add something from your perspective?
I share what Priscilla just said. We from the public side, we can set the first step or make the first step, and then it's very important that private investors do know that this is the right way to invest and not only a charity investment. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. If I can add just a couple of considerations. Oh, sorry.
This question goes to the EIF. And one of the main roles of the EIF is to act as a catalyzer of more private capital to the funds where you invest. If you increase the demanding for gender lens criteria, and this could do that some investors perceive that funds are more high risk. Are you thinking to develop some kind of mechanism that help to reduce the perception of risk for those LPs that decide invest in those funds that really implement gender lens criteria? Mechanisms like first loss or something like that?
Or shall I? Or you start first and then I'll complement you.
It's a very good question. It is important to extrapolate the analysis and what we do, and also design relevant incentives, be it on a mandate perspective or on other types, to actually address the gender lens investing in the market. From the risk perspective, there might be some perception in this way. At the same time, I would also like to turn it in a way that EIF is a front runner and brings other investors on board. So to really create a momentum and show and look at the actual returns and at the data behind, which speaks for itself that actually we do not have a higher risk investment or environment just because it is female. And as a last point, one question is about gender investing, but the real value creator is the diversity that comes through it. Marco, I don't know if you would like to complement.
Absolutely. I would be even more bold and say that I think a mechanism like a first loss piece would be negative for what we are trying to achieve. I think what we need to insist on is, first of all, has been mentioned many times today, the track record. Second, the track record, the EIF. When EIF invests into a fund, it has demonstrated there is value into it. I think our numbers speak by themselves. And as you correctly say, Maite, the catalytic role which EIF has should be such to incentivize investors in investing where we do invest. We do not do charity, as Priscilla said. And this is my view. We have not shared this internally, but a mechanism which shows that actually there is potentially a higher risk in a fund managed by women, having therefore a first loss piece, I personally think would be counterproductive for what we are trying to achieve. What we need to do more is publicize the positive results, but have more ambitious thresholds. Even you mentioned, Lucille, that the thresholds today, at least in your sector, are still too low. So having more ambitious thresholds and show that the results of what we do is actually positive. That's my view. I'm conscious we are already beyond the time allowed for us. I don't know if there is one last question or observation. There is.
Thank you. My name is Sigita. I'm from Livonia Partners. Very short sharing of the experience. So we're going through EIF's actually DD right now, and I think partners were quite surprised at how many questions we got on the hiring for our own team and recruitment. So it's good that we had all the pipelines showing kind of how progressing and goals that we had in each step. Maybe a question for the EIF. Are you considering having the same stringent approach on the maternity-paternity leave policies? Because we see that kind of in the market, it's not enough to hire, but you have to retain women. And this is kind of a key component, I think, to retain women and throughout the career on the high level.
Short answer is very much so, but Priscilla can expand on this.
Indeed, this is one of the points that is also looked at and is, fully agree, one of the crucial points that we need to make sure, or that the industry, everyone needs to make sure that men and women have the same possibilities and starting positions. Because if only one part of, let's say, half of the society takes most of the charge, at some point this will have a negative impact on everyone else. So we want to see it in this positive spin, understand, okay, what is actually being implemented? Is there also a family leave policy? This is really the important part, so that there is a contribution from both genders and thus have a positive impact.
Super. Thank you very much. I think we have to stop here. I'd like to thank all of you for the participation, in particular Antje, Lucille, and Priscilla. It was an insightful panel, so thank you very much. And